So the first dish we will be making will be a soft boiled egg. So obviously we'll need the egg, and we'll need a small pan because we're just making one soft boiled egg. I'm going to be using a gas cooktop for this cook, and let's have a look at the gas burners that are available on this cooktop. So you can see there's a small burner, there's two medium burners and a large burner. So the small one, you use it for small cooks, you know, with any small pan or small frying pan, you can use it for small cooks, the small burner. And the medium ones you use for medium cooking, and the large one for large ones. So let's put the flames on and have a look at these burners. So you can see that the large burner has more flames, and the smallest one has less flames. Medium ones have medium number of flames. So the more flames you have, the hotter the heat is going to be for the cook. So that's why, you know, for big cooks you use the big burner. So if you're doing like major cooking, then you go with the big burner. And for everyday type of cooking, you generally use the medium ones, you know, the two medium ones, and the small ones you use for like small cooking, like, you know, in any, as I mentioned before, like a small pan. If you're doing like small amount of food, then the small one is the one to go with. So yeah, those are the burners that are available on this stove. So yeah, let's switch these off. So we are ready to make our soft boiled egg. The first thing we have to do is condition the eggshell, we have to condition the eggshell. Conditioning means acclimatizing it. Like, so for example, if you're living in a cold environment, what you will have is, and when you store your eggs somewhere, what will happen is the eggs will become cold. The shell and the actual egg itself will become cold, and if you put it straight into boiling water, what will happen is the sudden change in the temperature will cause the eggshell to crack. Right, so you have to actually acclimatize or condition the eggshell to the heat before you actually start cooking it. Now, with eggs itself, when you're getting the eggs, try to get the eggs with the stronger shell. I think it's tied to the diet of the hen. You know, if the hens are getting a good diet, a nutritious diet, then and they have good living conditions, what will happen is the egg shells will be strong, right? And that shows that's like a sign of a good egg. You know, good healthy egg, the strong shell. And sometimes you'll get these weak shells. You know, as soon as you tap the egg breaks. That's like a sign of a weak shell. That shows that the either the hens are not living a very good life, or they're not getting a good diet, something like that, right? So that's the reason. So try to, when you're getting eggs, try to get the eggs with the strong shell, and the only way really you can find out is by buying in and trying them. That's really the only way you can know, and you stick with the brands that have the strong shells. It might be a bit more expensive, but you know, you should get a better egg as a result. And especially for cooking and things like that, for boiling eggs, you do need the ones with the stronger shell. Otherwise, what will happen is when you're cooking it, the actual shell will crack in the heat. So before we start cooking, as I mentioned before, let's acclimatize or condition the eggshell. And I have already boiled some water, and let's condition the eggshell now. So as you can see, the egg is actually in the small pan. So I will put some hot water in, just a little bit. Now you can use a fork if you like. I'm just going to be using my hand. You just roll the egg around so that the boiling water coats the eggshell, right? So that's what you're doing. You're conditioning the eggshell to the heat before you start cooking it. You're not causing a sudden change in the temperature, right? As a result, the eggshell is slowly conditioned to the heat. So that's what you're doing. You're acclimatizing the eggshell so that it doesn't crack. So there's no sudden changes in temperature, and it doesn't crack. So once the eggshell has been acclimatized or conditioned, then we can pour in the rest of the hot water. So we can fill up the egg, fill up the saucepan. So there's a little bit of the egg. So as you can see, there's a little bit of the egg sticking out, which is fine. Now we'll just turn on the heat. I'm using the small burner for this because it's a small pan. We are only cooking one egg, so we don't need to use any other burner. We can use the smallest burner available. Now as you can see, I have put on the heat at full whack, so it's on full. And because we are using the smallest burner, we need to make sure that it's on full heat, right? Because we're using the smallest burner to get the water boiling. Even though I boiled the water before I used it, it's not from the tap. It's boiled water, so this will make the boiling faster as well, because you pre-boil the water. It'll actually make the boiling start sooner because you boiled the water. You already boiled the water, so now we put the heat on full whack, so it's on full, and we can reduce the heat once it starts boiling. But so now we just wait for the water to start boiling. So as you can see, the water is starting to boil and the egg is jumping around, which is a sign that the water is boiling. You can hear the egg jumping around, and the shell actually has cracked, which I'm surprised about after the conditioning process, which is a bit unfortunate, but let's just keep cooking. So what we will do is we will cook on active heat for 2 minutes, and then we'll switch off the heat and we'll cook for another 2 minutes without the active heat. So that means you're using the residual heat, the heat that's in the pan and in the water, to do the cooking. So you cook with the heat on for 2 minutes, then you switch off the heat for another 2 minutes and let the heat in the pan do the rest of the cooking. So that's residual. That's called residual heat, using the residual heat, and I use that technique quite a lot in my cooking. So let's do that. So let's cook this for 2 minutes with the heat on. So keep it boiling, and you can turn down the heat once the water is boiling. You can turn down the heat, but you make sure the water still keeps boiling. And after 2 minutes, we switch off the heat. So let's do that after 2 minutes. So the egg has been boiling for 2 minutes now. So what we'll do now is we'll switch off the heat. We'll switch it off, and then we'll do so that's we actively cook the egg with active heat for 2 minutes. Now we leave for another 2 minutes, using the residual heat. That means the heat that's in the pan and in the water without the flame on, with the flame off, and we let that do the cooking for another 2 minutes, and then the cooking is finished. So you cook for 2 minutes with the flame on, you actively boil it, and then you turn the flame off and cook it using the residual heat for another 2 minutes. So that's how you end up with a soft-boiled egg. So let's see what happens. So the egg has been cooking for 2 minutes using residual heat. That means with the heat off, with the flame off. So it's been cooking for 2 minutes. Now what we do is we take the egg out. You can use a spoon for that, or you can use your hand if you're comfortable doing that. And then you put it under running water to stop the cooking process. So that's what we'll do. We'll take the egg out and we'll put it under the tap with cold water running, and cool down the shell to stop the cooking process. So the egg has been washed in cold water under a running tap, cold water running tap. Now we can take off the shell. It was cracked while it was cooking, but the crack is not visible now, but it was cracked as I saw earlier. There is actually heat inside the shell, so it's still cooking. Hopefully it won't cook too much, because we want the egg center to be soft boiled. So let's have a look at that next, but let's take off the shells first. So the shell is off. We can give this a bit of a wash. Okay, so I gave the egg a bit of a wash under cold running tap, and now let's cut it open and have a look inside. Oh, it's perfect. Look at that. That is absolutely perfect. See how the egg is runny? It's beautiful. So this one we cooked with active heat for 2 minutes, and we switched off the heat for another 2 minutes and let the residual heat do the cooking. So 2 minutes with the heat on, with the flame on, and 2 minutes with the flame off. So that's a total of 4 minutes cooking, and you get a soft-boiled egg like that. Now, if you want to like a hard-boiled egg, like one which is not as soft-boiled as this, then you have to cook it longer, and you'll end up with something like this, right? Now this one is cooked for 3 minutes with the flame on, and 2 minutes with the flame off. So that's 3 minutes active cooking and 2 minutes residual with the residual heat. So that's a total of 5 minutes. This one is a total of 4 minutes. 2 and 2. That's 3 and 2. So that's the difference. So if you want the yolk to be more hard, like, you know, this is like soft. You can see how soft it is, right? That's beautiful. Now, if you want it to be harder than that, then you have to cook it longer. Usually like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever you want. Usually 5 minutes, you'll get something like that. 6 minutes, it'll be harder. And I think 6 should be adequate for a hard-boiled egg. But if you want it you can even cook it for longer, but I think it would be quite pointless. But usually 5 to 6 minutes if you want it to be hard. And then, you know, you would cook for, like with the residual, with the active heat, you would cook for 3 minutes and leave it for 2 minutes on the residual heat, or you cook for 2 minutes and you leave for 3 minutes on the residual heat, like for a total of 5 minutes or 5 to 6 minutes, right? So with the active heat, it's 3 minutes on with the active heat with the flame on, 2 to 3 minutes with that flame on, and 2 to 3 minutes with the flame off to get a hard-boiled egg. And if you have a soft-boiled egg, 2 minutes on the flame on for 2 minutes. So you do active cooking for 2 minutes and switch off the flame for another 2 minutes, and you let the residual heat do the rest of the cooking for another 2 minutes. So that's a total of 4 minutes. So for a total of 4 minutes, 2 and 2, total of 4 minutes for the soft-boiled egg, and 3 and 2 or 3 and 3, or 2 and 3 or 2 and 4 for a total of 6 minutes, or total of 5 to 6 minutes for a hard-boiled egg, right? So for a hard-boiled egg, you leave the heat on for the flame on for 2 to 3 minutes, and then you switch it off and leave it for another 2 to 3 minutes to be hard-boiled. And yeah, so you have to remember that after the cooking is done, it's still cooking. So you have to put it on the running tap, and if you leave it, it'll still keep cooking. So you have to take the shell off straight away, right? Because inside there's still heat inside the shell, and it's still cooking. So you have to take off the shell as soon as you wash it under a tap. You have to take off the shell, and then you have to wash it again, and then you got your soft-boiled egg, or you got your hard-boiled egg. So I hope you enjoyed that cook. I really enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed that too. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one.